What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about whatever TikTok is doing here. All right. We're starting back up with Bodhi's Book Club. And when I had kind of stopped Bodhi's Book Club, really almost, well, it hasn't been a year, but a few months ago, we were looking at this book right here, which is Madame Pamita's Book of Candle Magic. For those of you guys on YouTube, you may not have gotten the... you may not have gotten it. You may not have seen Bodhi's Book Club. You may not have known about this book. Those of you guys on TikTok, if you've been following me for a while, then you do know about this book. And for those of you guys on TikTok, I know I don't ever do, promotions. I don't ever do anything that says, hey, buy this book. But let's just say the powers that be on the talk of the ticks is kind of pushing that more than y'all really know. Say what I'm saying. But I decided to go through, because you guys are always asking me about book recommendations, right? Always. This is one of the books that I solidly recommend. I bought this book in, I want to say 2020. I got it on Amazon. I think that right now it's about anywhere from 15 to 18 bucks, right? This right here is a solid, awesome little book. Like you can see all my nose, my dog ears, etc. I'm not going to go through the entire book. We had started reading through the entire book, and I'm not going to do that because I want you guys to be able to read through. And to be honest, even though this is a really good book as far as just a read through, this is more of a candle Bible. This one right here is more of a candle Bible, and I'm going to tell you why. Because in this book, not only are you going to find the basics of what candle colors mean, what a very short area about crystals and what crystals you can use for candles, but you're also going to find how to read wax and how to read flame all in one book. Now, just because you have, the little list in the chapter about reading flame, or the little list in the chapter about candle wax and so on, it still takes practice. It still takes time to be able to look at a candle and go, oh my God, that's fantastic, or oh shit, that's really bad. It still is going to take time, just so you guys know, okay? So don't think that any book is going to be able to instantly input that knowledge into your head, right? But this is the Book of Candle Magic by Madame Pamita, Candle Spells to Change Your Life. This is one of my favorite books. It's one that, even though I've been reading candles for a long time, yeah, y'all can totally see where it's talking all over the place. Even though I've been reading candles for a long time, one of my favorite sections that is bookmarked in here is about the directions of the candle and what way the wax flows. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in this book, because a lot of people ask me about reading candle wax. They ask me about, how do I know how a candle burned, or what the answer is, or so on. And that's kind of why I chose this book to start with today. That's why I chose this book to start with today. The one thing I'm going to say is that with candles, I do love me some good, 7-day, vigil candles. I do. With those, it's a whole different way of reading how they burn. Is there soot? Is there this? Is there that? Is there whatever? But when I'm doing a working, when I am doing something either for you guys or for, me or whatever, I usually prefer to use standalone candles, whether it's a chime candle, whether it's a taller votive, whatever. I choose to use those because I like to read the wax. It's messy. It's so messy. When I do candle workings, I haven't done them in a while, so we will get some scheduled. I haven't done them in a while. Wow, actually I haven't done them in like 2 months. Over 2 months. I think the last ones I did was at the Reliquary in August. But I digress. Everybody used to laugh. This is what's really funny. When I started doing large-scale candle workings, everybody used to laugh at me for using foil, and now everybody uses foil. It cracks me up. But when you're putting a candle out on a tray, you need to know the directions that they're facing. You need to know what's north, what's east. You need to know those things, right? Because if you don't know those things, you can't read your candle. You can't read your candle. If you don't know those things, you can't read your candle. One of the things, and I'm going to go through and read here what these mean, just so you guys, my ear be itchy, just so you guys have an idea of why it's important for you to know which way your wax is going. I'm on YouTube. My camera is not being very nice. New camera, here we come. So we're going to talk about each different candle, or each different direction. On here, on the diagram, you can see that they actually have it labeled north, south, east, and west, and this is exactly what you should do as well. This is exactly what you should do as well. I usually just label north, to be honest. I usually just figure out which way is north. I put an N. Every phone has a compass on it, and I know you have a phone. Every phone has a compass on it. So just find what way is north, put a little N, and make sure that nobody touches it, bumps it, etc., because you need to make sure that it's continually facing north. So I just want to go through and read you what the different directions mean. So that way, if you have a candle going right now, you can go look at it and go, oh. East. Wax flowing to the east indicates new beginnings. This also indicates mental work and communication. So written work, spoken work, people, spirits, etc. It also indicates that the outcome is ahead. The outcome is upcoming. I don't like the way that it's worded right here. It also indicates that the outcome is ahead in the future. Well, of course it is. But it's going to give you an idea of what outcome is coming. So let's say you have wax flowing to the east, and even though there's nothing there, it starts to build up a little wall. That's a wall. That's obviously something that has to be overcame, right? How far in the future you can expect your results? Is it way far out there? Is it really close to the candle? It'll literally tell you how long, how far, etc. It can also indicate new insights. Like those times where you smack yourself in the head and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to figure that out. Those things that will come to help you bring either your working to fruition or whatever it is you're working for. So let's say that you're doing a candle for a promotion at your job, for more money, etc. It can indicate what you need to do that, okay? So let's talk about the south. South, the wax flowing that way is indicating like passion, lust, intensity, action, energy, will. So if you have a lot of wax that's flowing down to the south, that's a lot of action in that working. Does that make sense? It also means that the outcome will happen really quickly. If you have wax that flows to the south, the outcome will happen really quickly, but you're going to have to do some work to make sure to keep those results flowing. And this is the thing, when it comes to candles, you can also tell how quick an outcome is going to happen by how fast that candle burns down. So let's say that you have a chime candle, okay? They're about this big, and they usually take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. I have legitimately had some burn an hour, more than one. I've also had some take 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Gone. The quicker that candle burns, the quicker the outcome will happen. The longer that candle burns, the longer it will take for that outcome to happen. However, the quicker the candle burns, that outcome may not be lasting. So let's say that you are doing a candle for more money. You think of this candle as, I want a promotion, I need a raise. If you want a promotion or raise for more long-term money, then you want it to burn slowly. You want it to burn slowly. If you just need like your $200 short on rent, you just need $200, that's fast. You want it to burn fast, so that way that's going to come in really fast. If a lot of wax flows to the south, then that also means that you have some work to do to keep that going, but that's a lot of energy and passion in that, if that makes sense. It also indicates a big burst of energy, a burst of action, and energy that you have at your disposal, basically, to put this spell into motion, this working into motion. So let's talk about the West. I don't know. Well, that way is West, where I'm sitting. So let's that way. Wax flowing that way indicates anything spiritual. Okay? Psychic awareness, dreams, divine connection. I was also taught that this is ancestors, spirit guides, the deities, the supernatural. So let's say that you're doing a candle to try to figure out if your house has a ghost in it, and the wax keeps flowing to the west. That's a resounding yes. It also indicates that the outcome has connections to the past, okay? So east is new beginnings, west is past. So if you have a bunch of wax flowing to the east, and you are looking at you want to raise, you need more money, etc., you want that wax to flow to the east and the west. I'm going to tell you why. The east is new beginnings. You need to raise, right? That is something new that comes in. The west is old things, old connections. Well, maybe your raise involves you getting hired at another company where your favorite boss who just left the company you're at, a year ago now works over there, and now they want to hire you. Do you see what I'm saying? So old connections could still bring in new money. Think of it in that way. But the West also deals with healing. It deals with the past. It deals with anything that can help you with that magical objective that you have. So if you have let's say that you have a candle going as a return to sender, right? Just take all this shit, send it back where it goes. You have return to sender. And you have wax flowing to the west. That is a good sign, because that means that you have spirit guides, you have deities, you have ancestors, everybody that is putting their energy behind that to help you. It also can mean that depending on how the wax looks, and that's a whole other class, but depending on how the wax looks, it could also mean that any of your spirit team over there is helping to cleanse the situation so new things can happen. For those of you guys just joining on TikTok, this is the book right here, Madame Pamita's Book of Candle Magic. This is the Candle Bible if y'all are new to the practice, if y'all are new to witchy things, or if you have not messed with candles a lot, this is the book right here. Wax flowing away from you, or, well, I don't know why it says away from you. Wax flowing to the north, I guess because of the diagram, to the north, is material, physical things, objects, places, yourself. This is also money and prosperity. Like, that's always a good thing. So think of the north as like the material girl. Okay, right? That when you look at candle wax flowing to the north, you want to hear the Madonna song in your head. I'm a material girl. You want to hear that. Okay? It indicates that any outcome you have is influenced by being practical. Okay? So to get things as far as your practicality goes, to get things as far as your job goes, let's say that you want to go on vacation, but you are on a budget, right? And every month you have an extra $50 to put in savings towards this vacation fund, right? And you are like, okay, I'm going to save for a year. I know that's not a lot of money to go on vacation, but maybe you can throw extra money in here and there. You know that you have to be practical about saving your money up, right? That's what wax going to the north means. That's what wax going to the north means. I love that. Karen said, I'm always careful about which books I buy, so I'm glad this one is Bodhi approved. Let me tell you why I'm doing it this way. I know that I don't promote a lot of products, like hardly at all. I'm really considering promoting my favorite toffee, but that's a whole other thing. I'm really careful with that, and I have been really careful with that over the last few years, because I see every day creators that their entire platform is just selling products. I scroll right by that. I scroll right the fuck by that. I have had so many people, so many companies come to me and ask about products, me promoting products and so on. I don't want to. I mean, I'm just going to say I don't want to. This book I bought with my own money on Amazon in 2020. I didn't buy it from TikTok Shop. I bought it with my own money from Amazon in 2020 because I used to have a really fantastic older book and it got completely ruined. Like it got tea spilled on it, completely ruined. It was bad. And I've been looking for another copy of it. This is almost as good. 95% the same as the other book I had. The only thing about the other book I had is it did have some old school shit in it. We're just going to say it that way. It did have some old school shit in it. But I adore this book. Like, I do. I have tons of pages bookmarked, flagged. There are still times I'll go through and I'll be like, shit, I can't remember what that meant. I love this one. So that's why I decided to start doing it this way. You guys are always asking me for book recommendations. And I'm not going to lie. I have found some shitty books. I have found some shitty shit books out there. This is not one of them. Just so you know. Shitty shit books. This one is fantastic. When it comes to the North, you also need to know that this could be, like if you have wax that flows to the north, that could also mean that what it is that you're trying to do that candle working for can take a little longer. Okay? Sometimes in my head, I also think of, like Game of Thrones, where the north is where the wall is and so on. So if you see a lot of wax flowing that way, yes, it's prosperity. Yes, it's material stuff. But you have to be practical about it. And if the wax flows really, really long, let's say you have a big, long tray, then that could be a wall that has to be overcome. I want to talk about this little next part because I know a lot of you probably have questions with, well, what if it's going northwest or northeast or southwest? What about that? I love this. If the wax flows northwest between north and west, it can be said that the message incorporates the elements of both the north and the west. So if something is going, southeast, it is the meaning of the south and the meaning of the east together, if that makes sense. Oh, I love that. And if you have, it talks about pillars. It talks about if your candle falls over. It talks about if a glass holder's, breaks or explodes. I've had that happen. And it talks about tunneling. And tunneling is the next thing I want to talk about. Because tunneling is irritating. We'll just say it. Tunneling is irritating. Completely irritating. Why is there... Y'all on TikTok didn't see that, but y'all on YouTube, I hope you did. I don't know. The fan is not on. My air conditioner is off right now because it's decently cool. I just watched a huge thing go... Okay, all right. Candle tunneling is a big thing. If you guys don't know what candle tunneling is, that is whenever you light a candle and instead of it burning, the flame goes down the middle like it was encased in glass, right? It starts to go down the middle. Did I say the South? No, I talked about the South. Yeah, I talked about the South. That is irritating as shit. And to be honest, when I have a candle that starts to tunnel, when I first started doing candle work, I had somebody tell me that if a candle starts to tunnel, you have to start over. That is not true. So if y'all hear that, let me just say right now, if a candle starts to tunnel, let it burn. Okay? That could indicate a working against you. It could indicate walls. It could indicate all kinds of shit, right? It could indicate a crazy amount of shit going on that's trying to keep you from that objective, that job, that money, that move, whatever. It could 100% be that. But it could also melt all the way down, fold on itself, things like that. So if you have a candle that's tunneling, let it continue to burn. Let it continue to burn. When candles burn down the center with a crater or a shell of the original candle, it's called tunneling. Usually, now here's the thing, a lot of larger candles, like if you go to, the Pagan Superstore, Hobby Lobby, and you get one of those huge pillar candles, if it's just got one wick, it's meant to tunnel. It's meant to tunnel. So you can put it on a pretty little plate on your coffee table and not have wax everywhere. So just know, if you have a bigger candle like that, it is meant to tunnel. It's never going to have wax drip off the sides. So it can be decorative, right? Decorative. You'll see the glow, you'll see the candle, but you won't have wax fall down. That's actually, if you have those kind of candles, those are actually really good things to use for protection workings. But yeah, I'm just saying, we'll talk about that in a minute. When a candle unintentionally tunnels, that is, I've had a couple of chime candles do this. I've had a couple of larger votives, like about this size, about that big around. I've had them do that, and then suddenly they come out the side somewhere. When it starts to burn down like that, you need to, first of all, let me back up a little bit. When it comes to candle work, and this is in the book too, you have to inspect the candle that you're burning. You have to inspect the candle that you're burning, because you need to make sure the wick is the right size. You need to trim it down to where it's only about like this, okay? A long wick is going to add more to your thing. It's going to burn down really faster. A little bitty short wick could go out repeatedly, and then you're like, oh, well, my candle kept going out. It's just because the wick, it had nothing to do with you or your working. It was just the wick, right? If you have a bigger candle, like a bigger votive, and the wick is over to the side, it is going to tunnel. I can guarantee you it's going to tunnel. You really have to inspect the candle, because if the wick is not straight up and down in the middle, it's going to affect how that candle burns. So when I make candles, I'm really, really careful that that wick is in the middle, and that's it, right? It's in the middle, and that's it. You have to really be careful. So when it comes to tunneling, you want to let that candle continue to burn. Okay? Let it continue to burn. If your candle was designed to burn completely, and you have burned other candles of the same maker and not had an issue with tunneling, then you could be sure that it's a sign. Tunneling indicates a wall that's there, right? We already talked about that a little bit. Tunneling indicates a wall. If your candle burns all the way down, I've had this happen. If your candle burns all the way down, and then suddenly something comes out the side and the wax spills out, but you still have like the candle sitting up, that is a massive binding working that has been put on. I've had that happen in doing candles for a client. And it's really interesting, and it obviously lets you know right away. It lets you know right away that right there is a massive ass binding that's been put on you. One of the things I want to talk about, though, is when a candle gets a lip and it starts to like roll over itself. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It curls down the side like this. That is a good thing. I see so many people, and that's in this book too, but I see so many people that say, oh my gosh, there's a lip on my candle. That can't be good. That can't be good. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let it burn. Let it continue to burn. Oh, I'm glad you just saw the dream video. Let it burn, because when it has that lip that starts to curl over and continues to roll like that, that is, let's say that you are doing that candle to move. Okay, you live in a town where you have no family, no friends. You want to move somewhere where closer to your family and so on. But it seems like everything has been working against you. Well, let's say you do a candle to open the road up so you can move, right? And at first you see that little lip coming out, and then you see it start to do this. That is your spirit team doing whatever they can to overcome that problem. That is exactly how how that is and how that should be read. If you have a candle that's doing that crazy thing over the side, let it do it. Let it do it, because that is your spirit team helping you overcome that thing. I love that this talks about, if a candle holder breaks. This even talks about if wax spills over the side of the holder of the tray. All of those have spiritual meanings. They do. Every one of them has a spiritual meaning, and you need to pay attention to it. Candle work is not just lighting a candle and just, my intention went into the universe. That's not what it is. Candle work, if you really, really want to be a solid candle witch, we'll just call it that. If you want to be someone that knows their shit when it comes to candles, you have to learn all the things. You have to learn all the things. Remember when I talked to you, or I said at the beginning of this live, about the glass candles, the votive candles, and soot, and so on? There is actually ceromancy for glass candles in here too. And I love that, because a lot of people ask all the time, it talks about, is there no wax in the glass? Is there wax on the bottom? Are there shapes and symbols on the glass? Is there a ton of soot? All of those have meaning. All of those have meaning. It's me, Holly said, my glass candle holder cracked yesterday. That has a meaning. Now, I will say this, always look to the mundane before the magical, right? Let's say that you've used that particular candle holder for 10 years. Eventually, it's going to get hot and crack. But what working did you do it with that is the time it cracked? Does that make sense? That is the time it cracked. The next part of the book on 202 in chapter 11 is pyromancy. Every single one of you just was pyromancy. This is reading the flame. This is reading the flame. And this talks about if the candle burns really fast, if the flame is really high, if it's jumping up and down, if it's, let's say you have two candles going and one's doing this and then the other one's doing this, or they're popping and cracking or whatever. It talks about what the right size of a flame is. So, did you guys know that? Did you guys know that there is a flame that should be a certain color? Not color. It should be a certain size. I was looking at the color on YouTube up here. It's not right. It should be a certain size. It shouldn't be like this. It should be about 1/2 inch. So about like that. That is what your flame should be. If it's higher than that, that's a lot of energy. If it's lower than that, it's not enough energy. I'm just saying. So you want to really, this is why you want to pay attention for your wick, making sure that your wick is the right size, because if your wick is too long, your candle flame is going to be too long. If your wick is too short, your candle flame might be too short. Do you see what I'm saying? But I love that it goes through the whole thing of pyromancy in this chapter. YouTube, my camera is being a shit, and I apologize. It goes through the entire aspect of pyromancy. A lot of times, people don't realize that there's a lot that goes into pyromancy. And I'm just going to read like the little things on this of what's noted in this chapters, right? Or in this chapter in particular. Does the candle flame burn even and steady? Is it high? Does it burn really fast? Is the candle flame weak? Does it alternate between strong and weak? Does it burn really slow? Does the candle flame go out? I get asked that question a lot. What happens if my candle flame goes out? If your candle flame goes out, but the wick is still upright and visible, first check to see if there's anything that could have blown the candle out. Mundane before magical, okay? Check to see if that is a thing. Or check to see if, maybe you have an ornery child or a significant other that comes by, it blows it out just to be a jerk, right? Make sure that is not a thing. Relight it. Relight it. If it goes out again, and this is what I was taught too, if it goes out again, that is the universe saying, not right now. Not right now. I was taught to relight it 3 different times. Let's say it goes out. The first one could just be your air conditioner. Could just be whatever, right? Okay, so I'm going to relight it. The second time, I usually will add a little more oil or a little more energy, or I'll sit and talk to it like, please, seriously, please. Like, I need you to do this. If it goes out a third time, that's it. That's it. Does that make sense? That's it. That is the universe telling you not right now, or you're going about it the wrong way, or whatever. And one of the things I want to say is, if this happens, if you have a candle that goes out repeatedly, and let's say that you light it 3 different times, it goes out that third time. I usually just set that working to the side. I know people that throw everything in the trash. I don't like to waste shit. I'm also that person that's really bougie with my candles. There's herbs, there's oils, I've carved it, like all the things, right? By the way, this book talks about carving candles and the proper way to carve them as well. I will put it to the side, right? I have a ton of candles that are burnt down this much or whatever. I have a ton of candles that I haven't burnt all the way down because that happened. It kept going out. So, okay, it's time to do something new. I usually, my nose is itchy, somebody's talking about me. I usually will table that, right? I will do some divination to find out like what's going on. Is it a block? Is it a binding? Is it just this is not the right time for me to find a new job or whatever? I will usually do some divination first to see what's going on, and I will just table it for a minute. Let's say that I'm doing this working for somebody because they're looking for a new job, right? And it keeps going out. The third time it goes out, I'm like, all right, something is up. It's still going out. So instead of relighting it, I just set it to the side. I don't start a new working yet. What I do is I pull out some cards and I do a little bit of divination. And maybe the cards say, just wait. Just wait. And then I'll tell the client, hey, just wait. Just give it a little bit. We're gonna do this again, on the next full moon or whatever. So let's just pause for a minute. Let's just hold off. And maybe the following week, her boss gets fired and she gets a new boss and now suddenly loves her job and gets a raise. Do you see what I mean? So that's why that candle, the universe was like, no. Like something, like pause, something's coming. Hang on. Not right now. So if the candle keeps going out, that's not always a bad thing. It just means calm, chill, hang out. What if the flame drowns in the wax? What if the wick disappears? What if something catches fire? Now, this is something that I love, making those candles that are over the top, right? With the herbs and stuff like that. They're not always meant to burn. Yeah, a burning clove smells like shit. You know what I mean? And suddenly you thought you had a candle that was burning all pretty and then, bah, it's a fireball, right? Sometimes those really beautiful candles are not meant to burn. When I do some for the holidays this year, I will be doing them as a wickless candle. So you just need a little warmer underneath to warm the candle. So that way you're not worried about it. But one of the things that can happen, I've seen this happen, and it's been the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I have had a pillar candle that was going, no oil, no herbs, no accelerant, and suddenly the whole top of it's on fire. Usually I will put that out and I will start over with a different candle of the same type, right? Be really careful about what you add to candles. Everything is an accelerant. When I do candle workings, I put my petition underneath the plate, underneath that cooking sheet. I put oils and herbs outside in a ring out here. So even if the candle burns all the way down and the wick travels a little bit, there's no way it's going to go that far, right? I try to make sure everything is outside of a specific boundary, because the problem is and this is where a lot of people's plates break or catch fire. If you have your herbs right up to the base of your candle, if your herbs are, let me not lose my place here. If this is your candle and your herbs are right up to it like this, eventually it's going to burn down, right? And when it burns down, those things are going to flow into it. Because that liquid, it's going to pick them up. Even if they're right here, that liquid is going to pick them up and they're going to flow over to it, and then everything catches fire. Because if you have one herb catch fire, all the rest of them are going to catch fire. And that's when you have your plates break. This is why if my candle's here, my herbs are at least out here. Because even if there's wax and even if the herbs drift a little bit, they're not going to go that far because the wax is going outwards. It's almost like, if y'all have ever been to the beach and you walk out a little bit and the tide's coming in, right? That tide's going to push you back. If you just lay and float, that tide is going to push you back towards the shore, right? You have to get way out for the tide to start carrying you somewhere else. But if you're in that first, 5-10 feet of the shore, it's going to continue to push you back to the shore. The same goes for candle wax. The candle wax is like the herbs are the shore, right? The herbs are the shore, and the candle wax is the tide. And so as the candle wax is flowing, even if an herb travels a little bit, that herb's like, no, bitch, I'm going to go the flame, It's still going to push it back. Do you see what I'm saying? So you want to have everything out a ways. The same goes for oils. I will put oils on the outside of a plate. I love to go to the dollar store and get a regular sized dinner plate. I will put a candle in the middle because when it has that little ring around the outside, that's where I try to keep my herbs, is on that ring. Okay? I try to keep the oils out there as well. Now, there are times when you do want oils and you do want herbs on the outside of a pillar candle. You see people that make these candles that are coated in herbs and coated in oil. When I make those, I usually dip them repeatedly in wax, and they have all kinds of stuff. I haven't done that in a while. I will be doing some for Yule as well. But I call those candle crackers. Like, that's what my grandma called them, because she used to have some that were coated in herbs and stuff like that. Those are not really meant to be lit inside. They are not meant to be lit inside. Those will catch fire. They will go kapoof. They are meant to be a really intense, massive spell right then. They're not meant to be, oh, well, let's just let it burn. Let's just watch it, how pretty it is. They're meant to go kapoof. They are not meant to be done indoors. So know that, okay? Now, if you have someone make you one, let's say you work with a specific deity. Let's say you work with hell, okay? And you can't find a candle for her, and you would just like to have something pretty to put on your altar for her, and you have somebody make you a candle, and it's gorgeous. It's got herbs and stones and stuff all over it, and you're just going to set it on your altar and never burn it. Just saying. That is what those are for. But know that if you have a candle that is coated with herbs and oils, it is going to go kapoof. It is going to go kapoof. They do have an interesting thing to use them for. So if something catches fire, that's in here too. Knots in the wick. Now, this is not something that when you hear knots in the wick, you think like somebody tied a knot in the wick. This is actually really, really common. And when I tell you guys what a knot in the wick is, you're going to go, oh, shit, I've seen that. This is the book that we're looking at over there on TikTok and on YouTube. I'll hold it up again, and it's shining glory. So every single one of you has had a candle that's gotten that weird little bulb of carbon at the top, right? You've been burning a candle, and next thing you know, it looks like a little mushroom of black, right? That's a knot. That's a knot. So look and see, before you light a candle, let's say that you have a big pillar candle going for a big working, and you have a little knot on it. Clear that off. Clear that off. It will affect how your candle burns. It will affect how your candle burns. But bulbous looking black lumps on the wick as the candle burns are called knots. They look like the wick has been tied in a knot, or like the knot on the branch of a tree. These mushroom-like bulges are the result of carbon building up on the wick as it burns. As they occur, they should be trimmed with a wick trimmer or pair of scissors. In glass-encased candles, these can cause soot and smoke and lead to unnecessary negative interpretations in a candle reading. I'm going to read that again because I want you to really listen, okay? In a glass-encased candle, These carbon knots can cause soot and smoke and lead to unnecessary negative interpretations in a candle reading. It happens a lot in glass candles because there's not a lot of airflow, especially as you get down toward the bottom. So if you have that happen, you have to clear that off. So when you are going and lighting your glass pillar candles, you want to clear that wick off every single time, okay? Now, if it happens on a different type of candle, it indicates something is tied up with your spell, and it may prevent whatever desired outcome. So a lot of times when you guys have a candle that happens with, and you just let it burn instead of stopping it and, taking the time to figure out what's going on, you might do this amazing layout, this gorgeous candle layout, right? And then suddenly, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But you had a knot in the wick the entire time. You had a knot in the wick the entire time. That's a lot of soot that has built up. That's a lot of blockage. So what she says in here, usually I have found that these are thoughts or beliefs we have about the working. For example, if you burn a candle for a new love, a new job, or a new house, but your wick keeps forming knots as you burn it, check your own thoughts or belief about your ability to attract this love or job or house to you, and do the work to eliminate any bad thoughts. We'll just say that. This is why I've really been talking lately about your state of mind when you're doing a spell. It's been a long time since I've talked about emotions and spell work, but let's talk about that for just a minute. Do not ever do a working when you are emotional. When you are emotional. Because your emotion is going to go into that. The only time that I ever recommend you do a working when you're emotional is, I'm going to give you one of my personal examples, okay? Several different times in the last few years, I have had a very close friend or family member that was deathly ill. My dad was going through chemotherapy and got COVID, and was like, we legit thought we were going to lose my dad. My sister called and she was like, hey, I don't know what you need. Like, she's bawling, right? She said, I don't know what you need to do. Please do something. Well, I had a candle lit for my dad already, but I paused that candle and I started over and I did this massive big working, and I allowed my protective emotions over my dad, my emotion of wanting to protect my dad and wanting my dad to be okay. I allowed that to go into that candle. That is one of the few times that I can ever say that emotion needs to go in. If you're doing a candle, let's say that your kid is going on a trip, right, with school or whatever, and you want your kid protected, that mama bear protection emotion goes into that working, right? That is the only time. If you are doing a candle for bringing in your person, right, and when it comes to the point you're about to light the candle, and in your brain you're like, yeah, but I really am not in a good spot financially to be a partner, so maybe I just need someone rich. You just put doubt into that candle. Do you see? You just put doubt into that candle. Or let's say that maybe your best friend is super, super sick and you're going to do a candle for her, and somewhere in the back of your head there is this thought that you're like, yeah, but I haven't been practicing very long. Doesn't matter, first of all, but you just put doubt into that working. This is another reason why people hire people to do candles for them. I have done candles and workings for people for years. Scarly, who is on my team, has done candle workings for people for years. All of those things can be done by someone else, so that way you're not stressed about your emotions damaging that candle, damaging that working. Do you see what I'm saying? Because if you are lighting a candle and you're just pissed, maybe you're pissed at work, you're not even pissed about what you're doing with Maybe when you get home, you just want a candle, you're just cleansing the house, right? Let's say that you're just lighting a white candle to cleanse your space because it's Sunday and you always do your cleansings on Sundays. Well, let's say that your boss messaged you that morning and you're fucking livid, right? You're pissed because A, it's Sunday. Why are they messaging you? And B, they want you to work a bunch of overtime. So you're pissed, right? If you light that white candle, guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen? You aren't going to cleanse that house. You're going to put that anger into that candle, and then that white candle is going to send that anger all over the house. You can't put your emotions into a candle. If you have a situation, and here's one thing that I want to say before I start to kind of close the book club for today. If you have a situation where it involves you personally and your emotions are high, a lot of times this is divorce, a death in the family, sometimes your job, if you have a very toxic work environment, anything where your emotions are really, really high, I highly recommend hiring somebody to do that for you, whether it's me or somebody else. I highly recommend that because those emotions can end up absolutely fucking up your spell, fucking up your working. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. The other thing, I did put a video out about this the other day, but we gonna talk about it for a minute. There are a lot of people that have in their head that you cannot hire somebody to do workings, or that you should not pay somebody to do workings. And let's chat about that. Throughout time, there have been wise women, shamans, medicine men, medicine women, elders, priests, priestesses, etc., oracles, witches, healers. Anytime someone went to them because of their expertise, anytime someone went to them to get help with something, you brought something, money, eggs, wood. You brought something. You brought a gift, right? You brought a gift to them. Do you not think that's payment? Do you not think that's payment? Throughout time, every practitioner, healer, etc., has always done things on trade. Just like your ingredients cost money, our ingredients cost money. And somebody that does this for a living, like I do and like so many others do, I travel all over the United States. For example, next week I'm going to New Orleans. There are some things that I always gather and purchase when I'm in New Orleans to bring back for workings for you guys. When I travel all over, I have different waters from all over the United States. I have different dirts from all over the United States. That costs me money to do, right? Other people that do this for a living, they have apothecaries, they have oils, they have items, they have ingredients that they use in your workings. Do you see what I'm saying? But I've had a few people lately that have either tagged me in videos or said something in a comment or whatever, and it's the exact same as if you had a plumber that came to your house. You would not go, oh, you know what? I can't pay you, but you should come and fix my toilet that's overflowing poop for free, just because of the goodness of your heart. Because I called you so you could come fix this toilet because you like to. What do you think that plumber's going to do? A, if you tell them that up front, they ain't coming to your house. They're going to laugh and hang up the phone. B, if they come to your house and then you tell them that as they're fixing the toilet, they're probably going to stop right in the middle of it and leave it whatever they're doing. Do you see what I mean? The same goes for any type of service. If you were to go to a mechanic and have them, tell them that you're going to have them fix your transmission, but they need to do it for free because, they're just playing mechanic. See how that works out for you. But that is it for book club today, y'all. We're going to end on a spicy note. That's it for book club today. I don't know what book I will be doing next week. My book clubs are going to be a little bit different instead of us all reading books and talking about them, because it's a little hard to bring everybody up on YouTube and everybody up on TikTok and talk about things. So book clubs are going to be a little different. I don't know if we'll talk about this one again next week or we'll talk about another one. I'm waiting on something. So I'm going to check my messages here in a minute. I'm waiting on something today. And I might talk about one of my other all-time favorite books next week. But don't forget that this coming Sunday, I will have an episode of the Bodhiverse up. And I'm really, really excited about it. I have a new guest for you guys. I know I missed y'all last week, but I have a new guest for you guys this upcoming week. And I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. So, all right. Those of you guys on YouTube, I will see you guys later.